So good afternoon. My name is Andy Burns, and I am the president of Whale, and I'm here to welcome you to the Co-Creative Center, a project that has been in gestation and in work for
Teri, you're not behind the camera, you're over here in front. Jim, come on up.
Jim and
Joe Loops.
get everybody up here. Mary Anthony,
Catherine, come on up.
Catherine. I'm here to welcome you today, and our first speaker of the day is the mayor, who, as usual, has been a strong supporter of this project. And without the mayor's involvement and without the mayor's support, this project wouldn't be where it is today. Mayor Mitchell.
All right, thank you, Andy. Thanks, everybody. Thank you. I'm really wondering what's in there. I haven't been in there yet. What are they serving? We couldn't extract people at all. Well, I look forward to digging into whatever's over there, but it's great to see everybody. This is a long time in coming. As Teri knows better than anybody, we've had 3 or 4 ribbon cuttings planned here.
Yeah, the weather.
We have one storm and another storm, and now here we are. Notwithstanding the storm a couple of days ago, we are happily here to cut the ribbon on the Co-Creative Center. So, it's been great. I was just driving down Acushnet Avenue right over here, telling one of my kids said, "So what's this?" And I said, and I explained that this used to be, right next door used to be Cheap John's, right? That was, isn't that right? Yeah, it's a long ways away from Cheap John's back in the day, but it's just so striking to see that part of the block lit up at night. It's great to see it all redone. It's been so long in coming, and it's so exciting because we've been talking about it for years. Derek's been talking about it for a long, long time. In fact, Derek, didn't you used to live upstairs?
That's the room.
Yeah, something like that.
Next door.
Next door. It's been a long time. This has long been identified as a really key development block downtown because we have a major office building right over there. We've got a new park over there, work being done right up the street, and this has been sort of a struggle. And this particular project on this block is a big leap forward, and we hope to use it as a stepping stone to tackling the whole block, which will be fabulous. So there are lots of people to thank. And by the way, the activity here with a combination of retail and artist space and maker space and residential is really neat, and that's the kind of stew you want in a downtown where people are interacting, they're living near where they go out to eat, where they work. I just had a whirlwind stop in Austin, Texas, before I had to come sprinting back to preside over the blizzard this week. But I mean, you see it in spades in Austin, a city that's really, really thriving and succeeding and growing on a larger scale, of course. But it's that combination of opportunities to interact with people you don't know, people who are exchanging ideas, getting to know one another, embracing the identity of the place, and really just having a lot of fun. That's what makes cities go. It's that kind of energy that over time creates interesting opportunity, and that's what so many of you have been working on over the years. So I want to thank you for your leadership at the helm of Whale, or the head of the board of Whale, Andy, and your commitment to downtown in more ways than one. I want to thank Teri, of course, for stewarding this project for a long time. She really had a terrific vision along the lines that I just described, and it was great working closely with her through Pat Sullivan, who did such a great job in helping everybody understand the financing mix and putting the city's funding behind it in the way of home funds, with Lori Mooring at his side, of course. Derek Santos, Angela Johnson, Deb Trombley, the whole team at the EDC are always part of these things, and their great work here is evident, as it always is. And Catherine Duff, who got to work on this and lend her creativity to it, and that also is evident. It's a cool space. It's fabulous. They retain so many of the most interesting features, the tin ceiling and the exposed stone and so many other things, the hardwood floors. So it's a place that we can be proud of, and a place that really reinforces the city's identity and gives it new energy, and that's the business we're in. I mean, building a city as we are right now, it's not just paving the streets and filling the potholes, which is what we're doing an awful lot of these days, and plowing the snow. It's bringing people together. It's allowing them to connect and getting the best out of them, all devoted in the direction of supporting the community. That's how cities grow, and that's what we're doing now. And I want to thank all of you for being such a strong part of it. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to next introduce Catherine Duff, who, as the mayor said, has been responsible for the architecture in this beautiful space. I think one of the things that amazed me has been Catherine's absolute passion for making this the most energy efficient building in the downtown. And I think she can explain a little bit about what she's done, but it's pretty remarkable as to what we've achieved here. Catherine?
Thanks, Andy. And thanks, Mayor Mitchell. So I'm just going to do a brief introduction to Teri, but I would like to say that I proudly wear the badge of the poster child for New Bedford. I live, breathe, eat, sleep New Bedford, and this project's been a dream of mine for many, many years, but it's been great to see it come to fruition. So innovation, collaboration, sustainability, leadership. The Co-Creative Center is a notable project with an extraordinary leader named Teri Bernert. Teri is a pioneer in community development and innovative project development. And the Co-Creative Center is yet another example of her vision, her innovative approach to exceptional comprehensive planning and development, and her steadfast commitment to our great port city. While her tenure in New Bedford is relatively short, her impact is profound, further evidence of her skills and her capacities. Teri first mentioned the idea of creating a collaborative makerspace back in 2015. She wanted to create a vehicle to bring the creative community together, provide a nucleus for economic development, and she wanted a community-based project that could inspire and awaken the creative giants within our fabric of our city, fostering a community of critical makers. But the vision wasn't limited to the project. Teri accepted the challenge of working with terrifically compromised buildings and turning them into state-of-the-art centers of innovation and collaboration. Many said it couldn't be done. In fact, most said it couldn't be done. But this is the little project that could, and the team that made it happen. And perhaps most importantly, the most sustainable building is the one that already exists. This was the start of the Studio to Sustain and the Whale partnership, and it has remained our tagline of our friendship. We didn't just save these 2 buildings, and in fact, it's actually 7 buildings, which we quickly discovered when we started working on the projects. This tiny little, very dense, multi-use project is actually 7 buildings. But we decided and committed to building them to the standard of the International Passive House standard. So these are state-of-the-art energy efficient structures. And what we did while meeting that standard, we also met the very strict standards of the Massachusetts Historic Preservation Society. Old meets new. We honored our past and we looked to our future. This was the essence of a sustainable development. These buildings are dressed for another 100 years, and New Bedford has restored a piece of her heritage. None of this could have been possible without the City of New Bedford and the City of New Bedford Building Department, led by Commissioner Daniel Romanowitz, who worked aggressively with Whale and S2S to stabilize the buildings, secure the structures, and to finally renovate the buildings into this mixed-use center that you have today. We're indebted to the building department, including Inspector Robert Carrero, for their leadership, partnership, and commitment to doing the hard work associated with renovating historic structures. And our heartfelt gratitude to South Coast Improvement Company for the craft and the care that they bring every day to the building of the Co-Creative Center. It's not easy to do something for the first time. And that crew listened to us. We brought in on-site training from 475 out of Brooklyn, New York, to train their crew in how you install air barriers on buildings, how you wrap exterior insulation over historic structure, how you do air testing, how you do dense pack insulation. These were all new terms to them, how you create service channels on the inside of buildings, something never done before until these standards started to become implemented in Europe and now in the United States. And they listened and they tried and they took care, and when they made mistakes, they corrected them without complaining. I really can't say enough about the crew. They really hung in there. And I would also say that they came in on the heels of Zusi construction. When we first took possession of these buildings with Whale, there was a systemic failure of the roofing system. So we had to phase the project. We had to immediately stabilize the buildings or we would have lost them. And the building department worked with us to issue a building permit where we stabilized it. And that was Zusi construction. So, you know, my hat's off to the crew that came in first and stabilized the buildings. And lastly, just wanted to, one more acknowledgement to David Lima, the foreman on the project. He really saw it through. So I'm happy to talk with you guys about these projects afterwards if you have any questions. I'm happy to show you the details of the project. But right now, without further ado, I'd like to introduce Madam Teri Bernert, our Executive Director of Whale, and let her unveil this beautiful project.
Okay. Thanks, Catherine. I'm glad you went before me because you're so much more eloquent than I am. And that was a great description, and you embarrassed me totally. So, but Catherine and I were partners in crime on this. I don't know how many hours went into this project, but you know, I learned a lot through the process, and you know, I'm getting old, but still good to learn. I learned a lot through Catherine and her staff, and I'd like to acknowledge Sherry McTighe, who's here with her two sons, and Sherry worked up until the day she went into labor on this project. And when we put the building permit in the window, Sherry and I just got teary, and it's been a journey ever since. But thank you all so much for coming. This is a wonderful turnout. There's so many, it's just a great assembly of different people from the neighborhood, and that's what this project is all about. This project is about collaboration, and on so many levels, from the concept of it, because there's so many hands in the concept, from the feasibility study to find the right reuse in this 10,000 square foot, two buildings with 11 tenants, to the design, to all the funders, and so many of them are here today, and I'm going to thank them all in a few minutes, to the restoration and the collaboration on the restoration. It was just a very complex and intricate process. And and now, because so many hands have touched this project, we are 100% leased out with the most innovative and creative tenants that anyone can imagine. So that was the goal, and it happened before we got our occupancy permit. So I think everyone involved in this project is a creative person. We have Lori Gomes, who is our last tenant, who is a master hair salon person, and is going to be, and is also a jazz singer, and she will be singing tonight. So it's just like that, and most of the tenants know each other, which is incredible. So we have a little family downtown now. But my job is really to do the thank yous. So I'm going to first, of course, Studio to Sustain and Catherine Duff. South Coast Construction Miss Ayala Sanchez in the back, and David's probably hiding because he's insanely shy. And I do have something for you both. David, it's not a bottle of whiskey, but I will be getting that. You know, this was hard, and I must say I'm not the easiest developer, and there were some tense moments, and we just plowed through until the last day, and now we're all smiling, and as we said, Our Lady is dressed. So thank you so much for all your hard work. My staff and board. Amanda DeGrace, who will say a few words after me. Diane Broder, who did the beautiful gourds in the window. Our newest addition, Aaron, who's here, who hit the ground running a week and a half ago and has kept up the pace. And my board, and I see a lot of my board here. Carl Silva, who worked hard on this project in the very beginning. So thank you, Carl. He did a lot of the dirty work to prepare it for construction. And Andy for your leadership. And this was kind of a nerve-wracking project for a board president, and I probably had countless phone calls with Andy. And you've been great. The building department and DPI, wonderful departments you have. They've been so helpful. Pat Sullivan, your department, and bringing in the home funds, thank you so much. Youth Build gave a lot of hours to this project. And then especially to our funders. This was a complicated project. We have you'll see in the PowerPoint, we have a lot of funders on this. City of New Bedford Home Funds, Bristol County Savings Bank, National Trust for Historic Preservation, Mass Historic, Upstream Foundation and Rainy Day Fund, Mass Cultural Council, Island Foundation, Garfield Foundation, 1772 Foundation. So it was an assembly, and of course the big one, Mass Development, who's here today too, and then Amanda, who's been really involved in this project, is going to come up and thank our patronicity funders and say a little bit about that process.
So I have the really hard task of trying to thank even more people that have been part of this project. But if I tried telling you about everyone that has helped on this project on a day-to-day level, we are never leaving here for the rest of the night. But with the patronicity campaign, Mass Development has this program called Commonwealth, where it is a match challenge. As long as your project could raise $50,000 in 60 days, Mass Development will match another $50,000. So I just wanted to thank, there are many individuals, and you'll take the time to see their names listed on the PowerPoint. But also, aside from the Mass Development match, Santander Bank and Bay Coast Bank came in a really big way to start energizing that campaign. And in the meantime, while we were fitting out for that makerspace, Trina Benneker and Peter Lamb, the stewards of the Atkinson estate, approached us. Ruth and Hope Atkinson, they were two sisters that were longtime members of Whale. And when they passed, they left an estate that Trina decided on how to allocate their funds. And she decided to deeply invest in the Co-Creative Center, and that is why we call it the Atkinson Education Center now, or also the
Gina's right
Atkinson
here.
Co-Learn. We have a write-up of their story. We really appreciate that the sisters believe that you can make anything, so we found it really appropriate to have their names in that collaborative classroom space. And of course, aside from the donors and funders, there are the builders that Catherine Duff and Teri have already spoken about. And I would say too that what we are most, well, not most, but struck in a big way about our what we call the first-time investors of the space. When Teri and I have been walking around on a day-to-day basis, there are people, creatives, that have stopped us on the street asking about this project, but also asking how they can help in this project. So we have the co-advisory council that was led by Adrian Teo. You'll see a projection screen that was coordinated by Don Burton. And it's amazing how quickly people have come in and been willing to help out in any kind of way. And we also have the tenants that are here, as Teri mentioned, and we really appreciate everyone coming in. So I'm going to turn this back over to Teri.
So I have the pleasure to introduce Mary Anthony. She's the executive director of 1772 Foundation, which is a foundation, I think it's the only one in the country that funds historic restoration. And 1772 has been a great supporter of, the biggest supporter of Wales Revolving Loan Fund, which allows us to do projects like this and projects like our foreclosures for first-time homebuyers, First Baptist Church, and 1772 Foundation's belief mirrors Wales in that historic restoration is not about just restoring buildings. It's about bringing the buildings back to life and stimulating the community. So it's revitalization through historic restoration. And Wales has had the pleasure of working closely with 1772, and we have a new partnership this year with Roger Williams University, in which I am teaching a course with the help of Amanda in historic restoration and community development. So that's a new partnership that we have. So Mary, thank you so much.
Well, thanks very much for including the 1772 Foundation today. This is very exciting for us. As Teri said, the 1772 Foundation, which is based in Newport, is one of the few national historic preservation organizations, and we do some farmland protection as well. But our core interest is in historic preservation as part and parcel of economic and community revitalization. And so we fund a lot of programs like Whale around the country. We think it's critically important that historic preservation is for people first, and neighborhoods and communities. We're a little bit less worried about the architectural and historic gems, although we do put some funding into those projects as well. This past granting round, we received 66 applications for funding, and we funded 9 of them. Whale was one of the few applications that sort of breezed through every round and came to the finalist list with ease, and there were maybe 2 others that did the same. The reason is that it's an exceptional program. Since Teri has been on board, I looked this morning, and 1772 has given $568,000 to Whale and to their historic preservation efforts. I'm saying that not to toot our horn, but to tell you that your program is exceptional. And it is important to 1772, not just for the work that they're doing in New Bedford, but because of the fact that they will be used as an example nationally. They already are. Because you're here, you already realize the importance of this structure, and you realize that it's much better standing and being used than in a landfill. We're here, the board and staff have sent their regards along, the 7 of us in Newport, and we're here to congratulate you and thank you for being an example to others. Thank you.
I thought you were supposed to be on this. I have, again, the pleasure of introducing Jim McKeague, who many of you know. And Jim, when did you come to New Bedford? Two years ago?
I came in, 2016.
So Jim is a fellow with Mass Development, and he's been placed in, he was actually chosen by the New Bedford team, by Derek's team, to come to New Bedford. And since he's come, there's really been a lot more collaboration amongst the partners. A lot of exciting creative economy initiatives started. Mass Development came in early on this project and provided the seed funding for the feasibility study, and saw the potential, and not many people could. So we at Whale have been really impressed by Jim's eye for projects that are going to work, and have really enjoyed having his expertise, and we hope that he does not leave. So.
Thank you, Teri. This was an extraordinary project. I think everybody should be very proud of the work that's done here. I remember coming to New Bedford, it was several years ago now, and my family, walked by this building, and they're all peering in the windows, and just thinking, what is this going to be? And to have worked on it now, and I hardly at all. But your extraordinary work is really paid off. It's great to see what it's become, and from the beginning, with TDI's involvement in New Bedford, it was really obvious that this was a key block and that this was a key building in New Bedford, and in the TDI district, and I feel like I've been not that involved with this, so I really feel like the person should be speaking here should be Paul Moran or the late Larry Cameron, who was the person who I believe first started the financing for this, and he died unexpectedly last year. So I just wanted to make sure that both of them were getting their dues. But the thing with this block too, and with how this project came together is, it started with a community vision, and it started with a partnership. It started with Teri working with others to really reconceive how a space like this could engage the community and could be a real force in both the creative economy, in driving entrepreneurship, and in anchoring the arts downtown, even to a greater extent than some of the amenities that we already have. So I think you should all be proud of how the community's come together, all the funders, and the community partners who have made this project what it is today. Teri, Amanda, and Catherine, Diane, where are you? There you are. And then Sherry, who I believe is in the back. I mean, it was, you're a remarkable team. You really are. I've been immensely impressed with the work you've all done. Teri, you've been extremely dogged in putting together.
Protecting hard hats.
But you've put together. It looks like a small project, but as you pointed out, Catherine, it's 7 buildings in a very complicated development project, and you've done it in a time frame that I don't think most others would have been able to do it. You brought it from a raw space to a fully leased up space in a remarkably short period of time for a project of this complexity. Catherine and Sherry, your principled design sense speaks volumes. I think the body heat that we're emanating right now is probably going to be enough to heat this building through the night.
It is.
And your careful attention to detail, you mentioned how difficult it is sometimes to meet historic preservation standards and sustainability standards at the same time. And I think you've done a really remarkable job, and also an incredible job of keeping the project on track during the construction. Amanda, I know how much time you've put into this project with the Patronicity campaign and all the hard work that you did to make sure the space was programmed and really on firm footing, when the doors opened. So hats off. And Diane, I don't think I've ever seen a moment, except for maybe right now, where you're not hard at work for the benefit of Whale. So I'm just very impressed with the team that you have. I think it's equally remarkable that you put it all together, as I said, in the time that you did, but with all the challenges and the setbacks, and it's fully occupied. This is extraordinary. You should, it's just a wonderful success. So it's a big win for Downtown New Bedford. It's a big win for Whale and the city. I think it's a new bright node in the network of spaces that allow the arts to flourish in New Bedford, and that allow entrepreneurship and the creative economy to really take deeper root. I begin to think of the spaces in downtown New Bedford, the CVPA and BCC and the New Bedford Art Museum. The list goes on, and here's another one that I think is just going to be an extraordinary asset for the arts in New Bedford. So. So it's a job well done. Congratulations, and hats off to you all, and hats off to all the funders as well. I think just how everybody came together on this project was really wonderful. The city really stepping up, and the Bristol County Savings Bank, with the innovative use of the Community Reinvestment Act, and it's just been a terrific project. So hats off.
What? Yeah. Where is Joe Lopes? Oh, I'm sorry. I was standing right next to you. We have Councilor Joe Lopes here. Thanks so much for coming and supporting the project. I just wanted to, I haven't said who the tenants are, and so People's Press is actually have their doors open, and I think they're opening a week from Friday. And they are a cold pressed juice company, and their space looks amazing. So if you want to go over and see that space, and thanks to Derek's team for Angela's team for working with People's Press and getting them going. We have Lori Gomes, who's going to be moving in. I thought I saw Lori. She has not named her salon yet, but you could talk to her about it. We have Women's Fund. Val is here, who's already moved in upstairs. And we have Sandra, who's here, and a massage therapist upstairs in the second floor. We have 4 tenants. 3 of them are young women in the nonprofit world, and one is a Spanish teacher that are living in the apartments that Pat funded. We have 3 art studios. We have Rhonda Fazio, who's here, and we have Berta, who's here as well somewhere over there. Berta's a watercolorist. Rhonda is a textile. And then we have Daniel Kornrump, who is an amazing painter, and he stitches the paintings. I think that's it, but you can see just like the mix of the tenants. And then, of course, we have our space here. So we're just excited about the community. So please talk to everyone and get excited about. And we have 15 instructors already signed up to teach in our co-learn space, which will be opening up very soon. And I'd like to introduce Jeff Pagliuca from Bristol County Savings Bank, and Jeff is on our board at Whale, and Bristol County Savings Bank has been a huge supporter of this project in so many ways. Pat and Michelle could not be here today, but we're so happy that Jeff can speak on behalf of Bristol County.
Thank you. Well, I'll be brief. See, I know I'm between the ribbon cutting and what's behind those doors, so I'll try to be as brief as possible. Obviously, Bristol County is very committed to the city of New Bedford and to Whale. I think this is our 6th project we've been involved with. Our first one as an equity investment. Very committed to the city and what's going on here, and pleased to be an active part of it. So much so we're actually renovating our own branch right down here above the Candleworks building. Same type of historic building, and just glad to be a part of it. So thank you for having us be involved, and please feel free to stop by our branch once it opens. Thank you.
Thank you. So we're going to do the ribbon cutting, and we're going to have the funders and our board and any of the city folks, and so just all go out. And then I would like to do a picture of our tenants. So if you're a tenant, we'll do a separate picture just for our social media that Aaron's going to be doing. So
Outside.
So we were walking to school. I started thinking about lunch. Mom packed me turkey and cheese.
She's
I really want
smart.
cheese pizza.
Sometimes her mind wanders.
We should have a sleepover.
I remember saying, Laura?
I think I heard Mom say something.
The sign says don't walk.
Sometimes it's so overwhelming.
I really hope she doesn't
I
have
really
another
hope we
bad
don't
day
have another
at
bad day
school
at school today.
When you can see learning and attention issues from their side, you can be on their side. Go to understood.org, a free online resource with support and tools to help your child thrive.
Connor is struggling in school.
Finding lowest airfare to Istanbul.
Why don't you understand me?
I do. This is what it feels like for kids with learning and attention issues. Redirecting to understood.org.